Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 2. Today we are going to cover how to plan and track your transactions with your planner since we've got it all set up. By now you should have already figured out what your savings goal is going to be and what your monthly budget is projected for the month that we're going to be covering. If you have not done that yet, I strongly advise heading back to episode 1 so that you'll be able to set your planner up for success. We're going to move right along now. The first thing that I want to start out with again is your monthly layout spread. Basically, I chose to use my monthly layout to give a visualization of my monthly budget. This is just to basically provide me with a visual example of what I'm going to be expecting for the upcoming month. So again, this gives me a real quick glance at that, like, my first month, first month is going to be hectic. It is January. But besides that, the first week is really hectic financially because I have a lot of bills coming in and out. And then the final week of the month is what I consider a quiet or a dead week because there's practically nothing coming out if I choose to. So, once you get this set up and you know what you're going to be doing, then it's time to move to your weekly layout. So, as you can see here is I took my 3-road planner and I separated the rows up to meet the needs that I feel are necessary to plan. Your setup may be a little different. It's just, I know that I'm an emotional spender and I want to track what is going on in my day. How busy is my day? Basically, more or less, like, I want to see, am I more likely to spend more on a day where it's really hectic, or am I more likely to spend more on days where I don't really have a lot to do, but the things I do have to do can be considered boring. So maybe I'm logging on and shopping online when I shouldn't be to avoid doing something such as completing an assignment that, I should be spending my time on that, but instead, hey, there's Amazon and eBay, right? So that's why I set this up the way I did. So as you can see, row 1, I set aside for daily occurrences. These are my dailies that I need to do, reminders about work or school, or if, my son, what he's going to be doing. I also put in, like, my chores and my household things, my schoolwork, and then, of course, keeping up with the house. So I, again, the chores, grocery shopping, and keeping up with my cat. Row 2, I set aside for income, and I know it sounds a little odd to reserve an entire row for income alone, but maybe the empty blocks will kind of motivate me to make additional income by either a side hustle or just by, like, listing items off of eBay. Maybe I received a bonus from work, things like that. So I'm going to include those in here. Plus, this row kind of gives me an area where I can add those extra decorations if I feel the need to for that week. And, it doesn't obstruct me from where I'm actually going to be tracking my biggest information. Row 3, I kept for all of my expenses. So this is going to be my projected expenses, such as those that we have listed in the monthly budget, and it's also going to include my everyday transactions. Now, as you can see here, I also set up on the sidebar an area where I am going to track the weekly spending. So by the time I'm done with this, I'm going to add up how much I spent for the week total, one in the projected cost and two in the unexpected cost, which I refer to as my free spend, which I've given myself a limit of $15 for this week. So let's see if we could do that. I also decided to keep track of the dinners, so I'm pre-planning the dinners that I'm making for the week, which is going to help me keep my grocery shopping budget, which is $50. So whenever I do end up going grocery shopping this Sunday, I'm going to write down how much I spent and compare it to what I had budgeted out. The final thing I want to note on this page is I left an area for my weekly goals. So not only do we have monthly goals, but we have weekly goals too. So for this week, I want less than 5 purchases. So those are my free spends. I do not want anything more than 5 transactions a week. And when we make it to another page in here, it's going to pretty much explain why I chose that number. And my other goal is to list 5 items on eBay. Again, if you've watched a previous video, I have a lot of items laying around my house because, again, I'm an emotional spender and I buy things that I necessarily don't need. So I really need to rid my house of the clutter and just get that out, change it back into a form of income, and use it to help me get out of the situation that I'm in. One more thing I'd like to note on this page is that I added a no-spend checklist. I really do want to keep track of if there is a specific day of the week where I'm more likely to spend. So you're going to be seeing one of these on every weekly layout from here on out. Now, with the weekly layout explained, I'm going to move to the expense tracker, which again, I had a goal set for 5 or less per week. And the reason being is if you're a little OCD, and not making fun of the OCDs, the legit ones, but if you're like me and you like things to be neat and organized, there's only 23 lines on this page. And there's 5 weeks in January. So if I spend 5, I'm already over the amount of lines. It's not going to fit, and it will drive me absolutely insane. So I really do need to spend less than 5 transactions a week for it to fit on here. So that is a number I will be keeping track of just for that purpose alone. And the upside to that is it's also going to help me spend less money because I'm going to be going to the store less to meet the 23 lines. To the bill pay checklist, you're basically just taking what you had written down on your monthly budget and you're going to write it in order as close to possible because, I mean, I reverted some of them to the due date. Now, the other thing that I noticed, which I'm going to track in the notes area, is some of my bills that I had projected for my budget are a little off or extremely way off from what I projected. But it's okay, because again, we are building our resilience and we are basically, we're going to teach ourselves how to respond correctly to adverse situations. An example I could give you here is like my health insurance payment for this month. I had it budgeted at 7. It's 7.15. Okay, so it's 15 cents over. That's not really a big deal. You just pay it and move on. That's not really that bad. Now, the one that caught me off guard was the heating bill that I have, because I had it projected for $50, and since it is the month of December and our bills unexpectedly go up for some reason in this month, the due amount is literally almost 3 times the projected amount that I had set. So I owe $82.98 more than what I had projected. Excuse me. Now, normally I would have just threw in the towel and been like, oh, can't do it. It's done. You know, whatever. Budget's done. Blow it. And I probably would have went on a spending spree. But instead, I went back to my budget plan that I had made up before, and I added in the funds, and I started going through like what I actually had to pay and what was already paid. And it turns out that I'm not fully screwed because my car insurance is prepaid. So I have $50 right there that I had projected going out. So that's $50 that I don't need to put out for car insurance that I could use towards that 80 some. Another one is that my water bill ended up only being 45. I had projected with 50, so that's $4 more. So right there, that's $54 of the 82. And if you remember correctly, my remaining amount left over should have been $57. So it is still possible that I will be fine, because I mean, I still have $207 left over after this too. Now, granted, 100 of that probably is going to go to cigarettes, unfortunately, but that's still $107 plus the 54 that I found just by reviewing my budget and moving some things around. So again, if something like this occurs to you when you're filling out your bill pay checklist, don't freak out. Don't throw in the towel. Just sit back down with your list and review it and say, okay, you know, what is going right? What is going wrong? It is possible. It just takes a little bit of effort. The other thing I had to point out was, again, if you've watched episode 1, the whole reason why I put credit cards in the variable expenses is because if you end up using those credit cards, your minimum balance or your minimum payment necessary per month does go up. And that's exactly what happened with this card, because this was the card that Christmas basically happened on. Not really the best way to start out, but again, that was last year. That's not the year coming up. So this balance has went up, thus the minimum payment has went up. So I need to plan for that in February. Another thing that you may notice that may look odd on here is that I have 2 payments again for the American Eagle card. That is the card that I'm focusing on first, since I'm using the snowball effect. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the avalanche and snowball techniques for paying off debt, I highly recommend Googling it. I have not yet got to make a post about it. I'm sure I will be here in the future. But the snowball effect is whenever you focus on one card at a time and you slowly take any extra funds that you have and you throw it towards that card. Where with the avalanche, it's you pay your minimum payments until you save up enough funds to cover the cost of one card and you knock it off entirely. I chose the snowball just for the fact that it kind of teaches you money management while also giving you a little motivational boost because you're slowly achieving a goal that you set for yourself. So that basically I only owe 27 for the month, but I'm choosing to add 32 because if I'm able to pay, which I have it written down in here, if it goes back to my monthly goal, if I'm able to pay $59 for the next 3 months, I can have that card paid off and it is done, and then I can take that monthly payment and move it towards the next card. So that's the goal for that. Again, I'm keeping myself little notes on these until I figure out how I want to set this up, but mainly my intention here for the month of January notes at the end is I'm going to keep track of what went well with my budget, what went wrong with the budget, and instead of just leaving it at that, what can I do for the month of February to correct that? So we're just not going to leave it as, oh, well, we sucked, we failed, or, a negative. We're going to turn that negative into a learning experience so that we can set ourselves up and prepare ourselves better for the following month. So again, financial budgeting, it is very crucial to your overall well-being as a person. I don't want to sound materialistic and that, money is everything. But the thing that you need to realize is your financial health affects other areas of your life. And if you are constantly thinking about where your money's going, that you don't have enough money to do the things that make you happy or make you feel fulfilled, or that you're being held back or restricted in some way where you truly cannot flourish as a person, you really need to get your expenses on track, because you're not going to be able to unless you do. And that's the main reason why I chose this planner and this setup for this year, because I am literally just surviving. I'm not going like super under. It's nothing where like I'm concerned that I'm going to lose my home every day. I'm not in debt that bad, but I'm in debt enough to where I can't do the things that I feel would benefit me as a person. So we're going to stay on this budget plan that I have set up for myself, and it is going to take time. It's not going to happen at, the end of the month of January. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I did it, No, it's going to take at least till the end of this year for me to even see some sort of progress. And from the budget payoff summary plan that I tamed from Stebbit, it's going to take me at least 3.5 years to get to where I want. But, I mean, the journey there is going to suck. It's not going to be fun. But I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible, learn as much as I can, and get myself to where I know that I can be. Not where I should be. It's where I know I will be. And that's the mindset that we want to keep as we're progressing through the year. So I hope that some of the information that I provided you today was helpful. I hope that you got some ideas for laying out your weekly planner, or just some ideas on what you can do to help track your expenses and get yourself on the right financial path and get you financially healthy. So, with it being New Year's Eve, I want to wish you all a Happy New Year and a safe New Year. And I will hopefully see you for our next episode and our weekly checkup. Alright, see you then. Take care and happy crafting.